Welcome to Spirit Club, a podcast and community where we talk about what's really running the show, your inner world. I'm Angel, your host, your guide, and your spiritual bestie. Around here, we're all about doing the inner work because your outer reality is only ever a reflection of what's going on within. We practice radical ownership, freedom in faith, surrendering our path to God, and trusting our intuition like our lives depend on it. Because honestly, they do. So take a breath, open your heart, and let's dive in. Spirit Club, welcome back to a very special episode. I don't even know really how to properly intro this episode, but allow me to attempt to do so. So today we have a dear, dear friend of mine, Chelsea Nott Jenkins, throwing that one in there. And Chelsea is an intuitive, a certified human design coach, and she is building a brand to support brides. And as you guys know, I am approaching my wedding date. Probably by the time this airs, I will be like about to get married. And Chelsea got married back in October. So we've been voice noting about the portal, about this rite of passage for like, I don't know, feels like years. And we thought we would bring that to the show today. So welcome, my dear friend Chelsea.
Angel, I am just like, I'm like, can people see like the little sparkly dust of excitement and happiness I have right now? I'm exploding truly. This has been such a fun journey. I've known you for years, but to walk through the engagement portal together has been a blessing. Your friendship is a blessing. And just to have that support of somebody that gets it, just to voice note over and be like, even just the other day, you voice noted me about like your shoes, right?
Yeah.
Something as small as that to be able to have somebody to converse with about, because I think we are both, we are, what I love about you is you're a very grounded person and we're not walking around our lives like, ooh, like super spiritual, everything, blah, blah, blah. But there's so
Mhm.
much depth to the way that we process, the way that we approach decisions, to the way that we're consciously living. Our intuition like really does run the show in our lives. And so these minute superficial decisions always carry more depth and more weight, and it's just so fun to have somebody that can like speak that language and
Mhm.
resonate on a soulful level, especially with something that is so sacred as crossing the threshold into marriage. So I am so excited to just talk about all things bridal era, wedding, wifeship. Like, let's go. Let's
Oh my
go.
God. I do not know how we will contain it within one episode, but like we're just gonna see. We're just gonna yap and see what happens. But yeah, like I obviously I wanted to bring our conscious conversation onto the podcast. I also wanted to highlight like because what I've found over the years, and I don't know if this has been the same for you, but I've found that weddings and the traditions around them and being a bride and all that sort of thing, people have sort of started to like, I don't know, like roll their eyes at, see as something that's really superficial. And yes, you can see things that way. Of course you can. But walking through this, and I know you as well, I've just been seeing the beauty of the ritual that lies underneath if you are willing to see it. And it makes it so special. Like it's giving me goosebumps right now. um, okay, so let's just start.
Yeah.
Let's start at the beginning. Let's start at engagement.
Wait, can I
Um,
just like say real
yeah.
quick? I think that I was even one of those people, surprisingly.
Mm.
I would talk to people I'm hyper independent. I've always been that way. Can I really what's funny about that is I think it took me getting to a place of being like I'm okay never getting married to then to like be reunited with my husband, and there's that story. But I was somebody when people would say like best day of your life so far, and it was getting married and having kids, and I would just be like okay. I would roll my eyes
Yeah,
genuinely.
yeah,
I was like I don't
yeah.
understand it, and then now having gone through it, I
Mhm.
laugh at myself because that was truly the best day of my life thus far. And we can start at the beginning. I think that that's definitely an appropriate place to start. But yeah, it's just funny to see how like I've transitioned
Yeah,
myself.
I didn't know that about you actually. So that's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
I just thought, there's so much depth and so many layers to life. There's so many reasons to celebrate daily.
Of
And
course.
seeing my girlfriends and seeing my just or just my dear friends in general hit these milestones, whether it's career or financial or even in their own whether it's their own relationships or in a family dynamic or whatever it may be. It's like there's so many things to celebrate. Marriage always kind of felt a little silly, and now that I have gone through but that was my own projection also. So like
Yeah.
straight up, like going through the engagement portal was a identity death, I guess. And it started with the engagement.
Mm.
Okay, so I didn't like my engagement. I'll just say that straight
I
up.
remember this.
And
Yeah.
yeah. And did you like your engagement? I can't remember. Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
okay.
I will share after. Let's talk about yours.
Okay. Um, Long story short is my one of my good friends had gotten engaged essentially similarly to how Jason proposed to me. And my husband's name is Jason, we'll just put that out there. So Jason thought that he was doing something that was like really raw and real and us, and it totally was. But I had a different expectation because I felt like he was just kind of taking a playbook or like a page out of the playbook of what had happened to like how my best one of my best friends had gotten engaged about a year and a half prior. He honestly didn't even remember how they got engaged. It had nothing to do with that.
Of
He was being
course. Yeah.
so genuine. Yeah. And I was just, I mean, I was being a little bit of a brat as I can
Mm.
be, but I think fundamentally what I felt more so was that I had verbally told him kind of what I was not like what I didn't want, thinking that he'd be able to take the reins and go from there and fill in the gaps. And I didn't feel heard. And that was like,
Mhm.
I was like, oh, red flag,
Mm.
because I'm about to join partnership for a lifetime with somebody who can't even figure out like this basic detail. In hindsight, I can roll my eyes at that because, from his perspective, this was truly so thoughtful and really, really heart centered and really heartfelt. It played into our story. The details were all there. He proposed to me at a Death Cab for Cutie show. He got box seats at the Hollywood Bowl. And so Jason and I had dated for 2 years when we were younger. We broke up for 6 years. Actually, I was on an ayahuasca retreat when I got this calling that he had for him, and how he was always a very safe love, and not safe that's like comfortable where you can't grow, safe in the sense that like on a soulful level I felt so at home.
Mhm.
And after coming back from that retreat, I reached out to him and was like, hey, like I'm not trying to start this up in a romantic way. I just would love for you to be a part of my orbit if you're open to that. And his response was, I've been thinking about you in the same way. And
Yes.
I didn't want to
Mhm.
like overstep or anything. And so we like, we started hanging out here and there. It was pretty sporadic. And it went on for a couple years. And then about 2 years after I was hanging out, we went to this concert together. It was the Death Cab for Cutie concert. And there was just a moment where he grabbed me and he kissed me, which is very
Oh,
full circle because the first time that we ever kissed is I grabbed him and kissed him. So it felt like now we're like,
perfect.
yeah, we're just a
Yep.
little even keeled. And in that moment, honestly, again, another one of these like I'm like, why don't I believe in these divine moments? Because I have so much proof of them. Because in that moment, I remember the entire world disappeared. And I thought
Mhm.
that that was really only something that was saved for the movies. The
I was just
entire
gonna
world
say.
disappeared. Yeah, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And I I felt this like soul remembering, and it was just like, whoa. And after we kissed, I looked at him and I was like, whoa, Jason Nott. And he looked at me and was like, Chelsea Jenkins, as if he had known all along.
Mhm. Yeah.
And eventually we got back together. When we got back together, we knew this is pretty much us saying, I do. We are committing to a life together. We have known each other for so long. It's going to be what it is. So by the time the proposal came around, it really was him putting all the pieces together of telling our love story through his mind and his era. And his mom had passed away a year prior to that. He proposed with her ring. That was really sacred because she and I were very, very close. To have a part of
Mhm.
her being a part of our love story, and knowing that we had had her blessing well before that. She had always dreamed of me being her daughter-in-law. I always dreamed of her being my official mother-in-law because I just kind of always thought of her as a second mom. It was all beautiful, but that's all in hindsight. That's
Hmm.
all in
Yeah.
hindsight. It was not like that in the beginning. I'm gonna be
Well, I
very,
want like,
very honest.
and I want to highlight like two things come out of your story that I actually like see universally. And one is, I think as women, as future brides, whatever, I think we forget that the man, the groom, goes on his own journey. And there's something really beautiful about that journey because for most of us, if we stay out of it, we are not a part of that journey. Like that is them going on their path towards commitment. Oh, it's giving me goosebumps.
It's so
So
beautiful.
here
I
he
love this
is, going
perspective.
on his,
Yeah.
creating something, getting the blessing of his mother, all this sort of thing. He's going on a journey. And unfortunately, and I see it a lot, and I would love your thoughts on it actually. I see a lot with women wanting to control that journey. Like there's like maybe that's the final barrier of trust. I've seen with a lot of girlfriends and stuff, like, them picking out their ring, them even buying their ring, them like sort of like, um, and
Curating or trying to
yeah,
curate. Yeah.
yeah, and maybe that speaks a bit to like where we as women have come to and where men have come to as far as in their masculine and women being really in their masculine. But I would say as someone who played no part, like I was fully surprised. I did not think that marriage was a thing we were going to do, so I didn't. I had a Pinterest board that my girlfriend had access to that was like old. And but otherwise, like I was so surprised by it, and I feel lucky because I didn't play any part in it because I wasn't even thinking that was on the table for us, and because I played no part in it, it was like wow, like so amazing. So anyway, what are your
You got
thoughts
to
on
fully
like?
receive, it sounds like. You got to fully receive, probably in the, which is the beauty of that divine masculine and divine feminine, like the divine masculine doing that work prior is what you're discussing. And all men that propose, I mean, most men, I don't know, like that propose are, if it's true partnership and they're really like really thinking this through, they are doing the work and they're on their journey exactly like you just said. And that is the part that's unseen. And I think in partnership in general, you are going to, when you're picking a partner that is for life, you're picking a partner that you unconditionally love. And unconditional love comes from allowing yourself to fall in love with every version of that person, past, present, future. And that means that you can always, guide a horse to water. You can't make him drink. I think a lot of women are trying to force feed the horse. I think absolutely I don't think I know that I've absolutely done that in past relationships and even in my relationship now. The beauty of full surrender and trust in unconditional loves comes when you can allow your partner to be on their path fully
Mhm.
and see and recognize that when you can do that, it gives you so much perspective. That is what I've learned from the engagement portal. I had led Jason to water time and time over. My tactics, my approach is not his approach.
Mhm.
He has far exceeded my expectations on his own personal development journey because I stopped trying. And I don't know if you
Same
feel the
girl,
same
same.
with, right? Isn't it just so funny? You're like, but also it's the same thing. It goes back to like I wasn't looking for a husband and then I found my future partner, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm,
in general, I feel like you're kind of the queen of this actually, Angel. I feel like you're so good at really you have such a great relationship with surrendering and just being with the divine and trusting in that. I applaud that. I value that so much. And it's a different tone and shape and taste when you have partnership. So
mhm,
yeah, I hear what you're saying where it's like a lot of women try to be so controlling, and when you enter partnership it's just a whole nother like layer of figuring it all out for yourself and for your future and for oh, it's so freaking scary. Also,
Mm-hmm.
it's so
Mm-hmm.
scary to fully trust. It's so
Yes.
scary.
Yes.
But
And
yeah.
I'm with you. Like Shane, we always say Shane and Angel 1.0 versus Shane and Angel 2.0 because like you guys, we had a break. We had a year where we weren't together, and in that year we were really not together, like no intentions of coming back together, all that sort of thing. And in 1.0, Chelsea, I was like, let me control you into your growth. Like I was like, I see all the places that you need to grow. Allow me to make that happen. And mm-mm, mm-mm, you do not you do not control Shane. I mean, for sure nobody wants to be controlled, but he's an Aquarius. It ain't happening. I'm sure his mother, if she heard this, she would laugh because she probably had a really tough time with that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it takes quite a level of trust to be like, okay, I there is something going on that I don't really like, and I gotta let go. Like I gotta let him have his own process with that, and trust that he will have his own process. And I get, and that translates really into proposing, right? Into like, okay, I got to trust that they're going to have their own process. And whatever that looks like is right for us because it's not just about me or you, it's about both of us. And I think
Yeah.
that is like something that tends to happen a little bit with brides and weddings and all that sort of thing is it tends to be about the bride, but we're like
Hmm.
kind of forgetting another part of
No,
like
I think
crucial.
the engagement process happens for a reason because it is that training and going from me and you to us and we.
Mm,
And it's so you're right, you're hitting the nail on the head. Specific it's such a specific transition. I'm like, God made this for a reason. Like this was so that we can have this process to learn to walk together. And just as anybody is learning to walk, it might be fumbly in the beginning. And even if you've dated for a long time, or maybe it feels great and grandiose and whatever, like everyone has their own process. For me, it was not that. For me, it was very fumbly. We had a 2 year engagement, and part of it was because intuitively I was like, I know that I'm not going to be ready to marry you in a year even though you are my husband, even
right.
though in my heart and in my soul, you are my future, you are the father to my children, you are who will be by me, like as God willing, like, till the end of my days. There is not a thought. The entire thing with the engagement was it was never about whether it was a yes or no to you. It was just the process of it. And that kind of started peeling back some layers and going through the entirety of planning a wedding is it's a ritual for a reason. It's a ritual in practicing decision making together
Mm,
to find your way of communicating, to find your way of decision making as a unit and finding your strengths and not like not being upset with the weaknesses, but allowing the other person to like pick up what you can't put down or what vice versa, whatever it is. It's just a balancing act. And it takes a little finesse, it takes a little time. Some people are like, I'm ready to go, let's do this. And other people like me, they need processing, they need time, they need to trust
mm,
that again, it wasn't about the decision, it was just are we gonna find our sea legs, I guess? Are we gonna be able to not just stumble down the aisle, but like run down that aisle, which is essentially what I did on my wedding day. I was like, let me marry this man as quickly as I can because I love this. After
mm.
everything we've been through, let's get there.
Yeah, and like I love that you highlight it's not about like going from whatever engaged to married as fast as you can. Like there's a whole school that happens in between.
Yes.
There's a discovery
School.
that can happen there if you're not like unconsciously racing. And
Yeah.
so I want to go back to because you said, the engagement portal is really going from you and I to us and we.
Mhm.
I would love to know like how that felt for you because I know it was huge for me, huge and
Yeah.
unexpected, and I would love to know like what that looked like and felt for you.
I'm gonna share and then I want you to share because
Okay.
I really want to hear all about it also. Because it's individual, but I really feel like there's so much overlap when you actually start opening up and talking about these things. It's so fun to connect and have that community and realize that, I'm going to be just very straightforward. The engagement portal is what I like to call it, and I love that you called it school because it really is school. That's such a beautiful way of putting it. Um, the engagement portal is just about duality. You are living the most sacred, celebrated, fun, expansive, beautiful, connective, compassionate, like era of your life while also experiencing identity death and the external pressures from your family and your first phone call who might have been your sister, your mom, your best friend. They might be actually adding to the chaos, and it can feel really lonely and really isolating and a little bit debilitating at times. And maybe not, like it might not be. It's so individualized for everybody. There is the decision fatigue, like just the physical
Mm.
element of sleepless nights. Yeah, I'm like,
I'm
can we
there.
also take one quick moment? It's my time, at least for another 9 minutes. It is exactly 1 month out from your wedding day.
Oh my gosh, right.
Yes. I'm so excited for you, but I'm also like, oh my gosh, 1 month out is you are such a brave soul for doing this conversation tonight, and I
I
love
mean,
you for
this
that.
conversation is supporting me. You know what I mean? Like this conversation
Yeah.
is not adding, it is helping me. So, yeah.
I'm like, girl, that last month, you guys are going away for a week, I think, right? And I'm like, please just, yeah, like empty out.
Mhm.
You do that so well. I'm not even worried, but it's a time. It's a time for sure. But yeah, so with that high of having all this amazingness and this sacred time, you also are going through a lot of shadow work. You're also excavating what is no longer going to serve you as you build into this next chapter of your life and with your partner, and you're going into a learning period of your partner and what is it to build that partnership? What do you guys want to call in? It's a lot of conscious conversation if you're available to that. And I mean, I highly recommend that whether you are somebody who is on a spiritual path or not. It's really your opportunity to dig deep and, figure out kind of where you guys stand and what you want to call in, because at the end of the day, crossing the threshold into marriage is a sacred ritual that has been around for a long time for a reason. And the ritual and the ceremony of all of this, it makes sense once you've experienced it. Like, you're on a vibration of love. Like, the vibration and the frequency of love is the most healing frequency and vibration that exists in the universe.
Mhm.
So getting to ride that wave is phenomenal, but also in order to fully ride that wave, you have to like lean in and allow yourself to be held in the work of letting go of what's not going to like fully allow you to be there. And
I
that's the part, like I don't want to make it a scary thing or a bad thing. It's not at all. It's actually such a beautiful thing because by the time you get to your wedding day and you stand there, it's this feeling of like going through the engagement portal is like, in this bridal era is, who do I'm in a state of becoming. How do I want to start the rest of my life, this next chapter of my life? There is like a hard end and a hard beginning. As much as people don't want to believe it, you feel the energetic shift on a molecular, cellular, DNA level. It's a change. It happens quick and it's so beautiful. And I really think that if people do the work to confront lovingly all parts of themselves and allow them to have that place of acceptance of whatever it may be, when you get to that altar and you stand there and you say your vows and you accept your partnership, you were just like ushered into this like, I don't even know. It's such a crazy concept. You're just so blessed. You feel such a true blessing. And I personally, people can say source, they can say universe, they can say whatever. I say God. God, it's like it's God's blessing to be in sacred unionship like that. Oh my God, I could talk forever about that. Sorry. I don't even know
I
what the
can't
question was. I just
I
went on a
can't
rant.
I can't stop the full body chills. Like
Oh.
she should put a heater on her today. Anyway, um yeah, I Thank you for sharing that. And I think what you're speaking, like the speaking to about ego death, really is like ego death and identity is stepping into new identity. We can be conscious about it or not.
Mhm.
But if you're going to be in a new identity, things from the old identity don't get, not all of them get to come with you. And so, of
Yes.
course, there is some letting go that can be hard for people and easier for others,
I'm curious,
depending on
Angel,
how.
like, sorry, I went on a tangent, but I did want to circle back if you're willing to share, like, what do you feel like has come up for you in this experience? Or, yeah, I would love to hear more about that.
Yes, yes. Well, first, I want to say about the engagement portal, and you and I talked about it so much when it first was going on. Because I wasn't like planning on getting engaged or thinking about that, um, it really hit me. Like it really hit me like, whoa, this feels so different because I wasn't like preparing myself for it. You know what I mean? So it was like I was in the energy of engaged and I was like, holy crap, this feels very different. And for me, what that looked like was two things initially, or for us. The first was we just kind of like it really was like a portal of possibility that opened up because together we are so much more powerful, which maybe we knew but we didn't really know until that moment together. Like, prior to that, yeah, I support you, you support me, all that. But the minute we were engaged, it was like, I am with you, we will create together. And so we looked at each other and we were like, what do we want to create? We can
Yes.
create anything. We were like, holy crap, we could create anything. There were no blocks. There were zero blocks.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
here in Greece at the time.
Yeah.
And so, spoiler alert, what we created was we
I
we
remember
moved.
it's all downloading now. I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember all of it. Okay. Yes, I'm so
Yes.
excited about
And we were
this.
just
Yes.
like dreaming, what kind of life do we want to create? We have no barriers. What do we want to do? And next, a year later, we moved here and we have this like really beautiful, beautiful, blessed life. So for us, the engagement portal was really about creating and creating together and how much more powerful we became together. And then the other more like vulnerable layer that happened immediately was like, I didn't think that we needed any like deeper connection or deeper love. Like I wasn't feeling as though I was missing something. Um, but when we got engaged, I think the like I choose you moment, even though I totally did choose him and he totally did prior to that, but that conscious choosing, that like declaration, there was like this layer of vulnerability that came forward that was like that deepened us and deepened our love. And I was like, oh, didn't know that was available, didn't know I wanted it, but it is wonderful to have.
Mhm.
So that was kind of like the two, initial things that came forward with the engagement portal. There have been so many along the way. I don't even know how to begin.
Yeah. I know. I'm like, I should probably just make like a laundry list to talk through someday because there was so much that thank you for sharing that because I that resonated with me too because I felt the same way. I didn't know that just you would think of it as like a title and you're like, a title, like, does it really make a difference? It actually calling him fiance or knowing that like now we're going to be sharing the rest of our lives together and the work begins of like setting that up and how we want it's not work, it's so exciting. Like you said, it's what do we want to do? Like this whole new we're creating a world from scratch together. What is that going to look like? And just because we've had habits and rituals and things that we've done together, like it's like you're starting from a blank page. And it's just so fun and it brings that like childlike curiosity and that excitement all back like in this like rushing emotion. Also like the inner child, did your I feel like my inner child really went through like a whole up level where maybe I said in the beginning of this, I never was somebody who had an idea of a wedding and I really didn't have anything. I was like step 1 find a husband because step 2 is when you get engaged, you guys will curate your day to really represent your love and your story. Like that was something that was really important to me was I didn't want to get ahead of myself. I wanted to like know who I was going to get to marry so that I could curate the day to really express who we were and what our story is and share that with the people that we love the most. And but what came forward to me was that little girl that I think deep down always was so excited to find her partner and share that life with somebody and have that fairy tale. And my wedding day felt like a fairy tale. And I was a princess. I was a queen. I was whatever I was a very easygoing bride, truthfully. Like I did not care because I felt like and you and I have spoken about this, and I'd love to speak about this if you don't mind me saying this. Like on the wedding day, the things that go wrong, something is going to go wrong. Like the acceptance around that ahead of time so important because when it doesn't matter. Like if
Mm.
your groom is there and you are there and your officiant is there, like or your pastor, your priest, whoever is going to marry you, like that's all that really matters at the end of the day. Like you are going to marry the love of your life. You are going to move into this next chapter and that is it can look pretty, it could look simple. It doesn't matter as long as like you have that energy check and you're just aligned with knowing like what a blessing it is to find a love that you want to share your entirety with, you know, all of you. So, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
so excited for you.
I
I
love
like
the
I'm so excited.
I
I
love
just
the
like
way
get
that
giddy.
you when you were sharing, the things that quote unquote went wrong, but you were like, they're really just like they are a part of it.
Mhm.
They're just not the planned part of it. And you describe them as like nuances to the day. And I was like, such like such a supportive reframe. I cannot even. And because me too, I know. I mean, things have not been going right the whole planning process, but
Yeah.
the day I know that's going to happen, of course. And so it's always nice to have those like almost like mantras or frames to
Mhm.
remind yourself of what is this about.
Yeah.
Um, Okay, Chelsea, I want to talk about some of the like key things. There are so many, but key things that, you know, that you plan while you're planning towards a wedding that, actually have ritual and have meaning behind them and that you and I have been super conscious about. Let's start with the wedding dress. Let's start with the wedding
Oh,
dress. Talk to us about your
wow.
process.
Yeah, I forgot we talked about this. Okay, that was the beginning of it all. That was really the beginning of realizing what a r ritual, what a sacred time in life this is. So, when I went wedding dress shopping, it was about a year after my mother-in-law, Jason's mom, had passed, and it was a year and a half. And I had been carrying the weight of the grief. I was about
Mm-hmm.
35 pounds heavier. I was not feeling, but also 35 pounds heavier because I had just self-abandoned. I was just kind of getting through. So one thing that I always dreamed of, the one thing I always dreamed of for my wedding was going wedding dress shopping with my close sacred group of girlfriends and my mom and anybody that's really all the women in my life. I wanted to go share that experience with them. I wanted us to drink champagne and just have fun and try on different dresses and like just make it a thing. So I did that. I didn't feel my best at all, and I knew that on that day I wasn't going to buy a dress. I was going to try on different styles, kind of get acquainted to the whole process and just dip a toe into the water of like what it's going to feel like to be a bride. And that day was just so awakening to me. That day was like blinders are off. Like this is you are now stepping into the next phase of your life. And what I mean by that is I had my nieces with me, I had my sisters, I had my best friends, I had my mom, I had her best friend, and we just made it a thing. We went to brunch and then we went to wedding dress shopping. We made a couple appointments. And as we were trying on dresses, people would pick out different dresses for me and I'd try them on and then I would pick out my own and then the stylist would pick out their own. So I went through like, I don't know, like 15 different dresses that day, which is a lot. And with each dress, it was very eye-opening because everybody had something else to say. Somebody had something to say. And I went in knowing that I wasn't going to take anybody's feedback because this was my process and but it was the first day that I saw how there are versions of me that live rent free in some of my friends' minds
Mm.
that was like an expired
Interesting.
version of me, you know, like it was
Mhm.
something that Chelsea 10 years ago would have would have wanted to wear or would have felt most expressed in. And then there were certain dresses I tried on that nobody liked that I was like, "Whoa." Like I just met a version of me like I didn't know existed yet. And it
Uh-huh,
was so
uh-huh.
exciting. And it was really eye-opening and it was just very, again, expansive. And so with every dress, I felt like I was going through letting go parts of me that needed, or just at least identifying the parts of me that were like, yeah, this is not who I am anymore. And then also being ready and willing to open up to becoming a version of me that felt good that I may not have seen before. And so
Mhm.
the dress shopping, we did that. And then I just went back with my mom. Once I kind of dialed in on what I wanted, I went back a couple months later to a different place and had found the dress that I wanted. And I tried it on and was like, I'm not totally sold, but I also know that, again, this is like a physical representation of who I'm becoming. And this dress is going to go through iterations with alterations, with adjustments, with me losing this weight and like really pouring into my well being as a person. And that was the whole journey. I mean, I ended up losing 35 pounds. And when I say that, I don't mean like, oh, I lost weight because of the wedding. Like, yeah, of course you want to look your best on your wedding day. That was energetic weight that was no longer serving me. That was energetic weight that was grief and again, self-abandonment and just so much of I was like, I don't want to carry that into my wedding day. I on my wedding day want to feel the best I've ever felt because it's the beginning of the next chapter. And
Mhm.
your weight's going to go up and down your whole life for women. That just happens. It's a part of it. But I was like, I want to glow. I want to feel that version of me that tried on that dress that nobody else liked, but I liked and
How
saw who she
amazing.
is. Yeah. And I didn't pick that dress, but at the end of the day, by the time we finally got through the final iterations of my dress, oh man, it was so fun. It was such a fun process to go in and tell the like seamstress what my vision was and she was like I see it and then she would like go do it and it just to feel snatched and to feel like
Mhm,
like
mhm.
if it's like a glove and you're just like you really do glow, there's something so special. And when you think about it, that is the shoes, the dress, it's what you're walking into this next chapter in, you know? And I'm a firm believer that like of always just looking your best because then you vibrate and you feel your best. And I mean, I walk around with like a mess all the time, but like when it's time to like show up and show out, like I'm here for it because I want to, you know?
Yeah, of course not.
Yeah. So that was a really fun experience. I totally thank you for reminding me of that. I forgot that. Yeah.
And I love to hear, and really, like you said, it's what you're walking into the new chapter with. And also, like what we wear expresses our identity, our energy. So it is like, I know for me, what I wear is such a creative part of me
Yeah.
that really matters to me. And listening to your story, I'm like, oh, it's so funny. We both kind of did something really similar. We went like earlier than we knew we'd be ready for.
Hmm.
Because I went with a small group of girlfriends and my mom before I left Canada because I was like, I'm not going to get to wedding dress shop with anyone. I'll be in Europe. I won't have friends. Like, so I was like,
Yeah.
I'll do this. But it was so, and like you said, it was the beginning. It was the beginning of showing me, oh, this is the journey you're going to be on. This is the identity shift that you're going through. And for me, that identity shift has been about taking up space, receiving, being in the spotlight. Because even planning that day, I kind of didn't want to do it. I was like, meh, I don't really want to. I don't want to be like on display. I don't want like,
Yeah.
I don't want to take up time in my friends' lives. I don't want to be a bridezilla, like this whole thing.
Hmm.
And so, but then I did it because I was like, I'll do it for my mom. That's what made me like feel like I could do it. It was like, I'll do it for my mom. It matters to
Hmm.
my mom. And then we go, and I was uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable. And you know what I was doing? And it became super clear. I was immediately trying to make sure everyone was okay. I was like, how's my mom feeling? My mom is uncomfortable. Let me make my mom more comfortable. Oh, let's make sure my friends get along. And it was such a red flag. I was like, okay, that's a group of 5 people. What are you going to do when there's 70 people?
Yep,
And
that's what I was just gonna say. I was like, oh, this was a lesson for the wedding day.
this is a lesson that I have been walking through every day since because, we moved here. We've had like 10 visitors, and every time we have a visitor, I go through that same lesson of like just another layer of it. Like, how can you let go of completely curating, taking care of everyone's experience, and making sure everybody feels good, and then depleting yourself? Like, after that first wedding dress try on, I was like, I want nothing to do with this. Like, I was
Hmm.
like, that was not a good time for me. I did not like that. So, so I've been working through that. That's been a big part of it. I hope, I pray that by the day of our wedding that I have arrived in an identity that can take up space, that can be present and not take care of others. Um, but the actual buying my wedding dress, I went in September in Athens, and my best friend at the time was visiting. And so it was just me and her. And this was like way better. This was a
Yeah.
way better
Yeah.
experience. And as I was choosing the dress, similar to you, it was like, okay, I would try ones on that were obvious choices. They were like, this is very something that you'd expect Angel to buy.
Hmm.
Um, but the dress that was actually calling me was something that was a stretch. And by a stretch, I mean it was uncomfortable for me to take up so much space, to be so bold, to
Hmm.
be, a woman who by the time I wear this will be 40 wearing a big wedding dress. Okay.
Hmm.
And even
Hmm.
my girlfriend, she was like, do you want to be wearing such a big dress? Almost like she's not
Yeah.
meaning to be judgmental, but she's like, we're 40. What are you doing?
Hmm.
And I was like, no, I'm aware that wearing this dress is the identity I'm growing into. And so it's kind of I'm yes, I'm uncomfortable buying it, but I love it. And then yeah, and so that's the one I picked. And the buyer's remorse I went through, like the spiraling for maybe 2, 3 weeks of like, what are you doing? You can't take up that much space. What were you thinking? Oh my gosh. But I have like, as I've done the work to be able to be seen,
Yeah.
I'm like, now I'm like, I want that dress right now. I want to, I want to wear it every day.
Oh,
It's so beautiful.
I, for part I forgot to mention, honestly, I forgot. So I'm so glad we're talking about this is when my mom and I went back, when the dress finally got delivered, my dress finally got delivered, we went back to try on for the first time. I have photos. I can send them to you. You can see my face. I was like, I was so disappointed. I was like, I
Oh, no.
picked this dress. Like, I think the buyer's remorse is a totally normal thing. And that's when the seamstress looked at me and she's like, what are you talking about? This is a gorgeous dress. We just need it. And she did all the pinning and everything. And I was like, okay, like, sure, like a little bit better. Next time I came back, I was like, oh, okay, better. And then it just progressively got better because I put my own flair on it. If you see side by side what my dress started as and what it turns into, it's completely different. And not
Amazing.
to say that every bride has to do that, but I
Right.
I hear exactly what you're saying where it's like it is a stretch and it's it's your in a way subconsciously are you letting people down because they had an expectation of what you were going to be presented as and you
Mm-hmm.
thought that like and for my brain I'm like oh like was that my perfectionist people pleasing brain wanting to like show them that yeah this is it this is Chelsea and in reality it's like nah dog I'm a new girl I'm Chelsea Nott Jenkins anymore so
Oh, that's
there is an
crazy.
identity shift yeah
Whoa. I didn't notice
yeah.
that. That's
We
funny.
we have so much to talk about. I feel like we're gonna have to do part two because are you taking Shane's last name, which is like total side note, but also I'm so
I think
curious.
that's not a side note. I think that's a total on par note. Um, at this current where we are now, I don't think so. No.
Hmm.
Um, but then I did some like nominative determinism around his name, and I was like, oh, that's a little bit like what I'm calling in for myself. And so perhaps I should. Yeah, I don't. I don't know. Talk to us about your process around it.
Yeah, when I was like an immediate no. I was like, absolutely not. Do you want to take my name? Like I for a few reasons. I Chelsea Jenkins, it's a balanced name. It's 7 and 7. So from like a numerology standpoint, that feels like very like weighted in its own right. Um, I'm 747 and is my middle name with an E. And so there's just something about that that felt
Mm.
very good. Also, our love language, I say honey and babe and do like the little like cutesy names with him. He does not with me. His cutesy name is Chelsea. And Jason Knott and Chelsea Jenkins are our love language. It's they carry so much weight in their own respect in our relationship. And so there's just always been something so fundamentally beautiful about that. So when it came to the name change idea, it also was like, I'm an anomaly. I feel really, really blessed. I grew up with an incredibly amazing family dynamic, and my parents are they just celebrated their 45th wedding anniversary. And so, wait, we just talked about this. I actually don't know. Or they're going to be celebrating their 45th. They've been together for a long time. They do not have a perfect relationship. They'll be open about that, but they absolutely adore each other and love each other. And it's been really expansive and beautiful for me to have that fundamentally. Jason does not necessarily have that family background, and so when I thought about me moving into that family lineage, carrying the name Knott, Chelsea Knott, it just ugh. Which is kind of funny because then my initials would be Can, even though it's not Nott, as a last name. I went through like every possible like numerology and like as you're seeing like the acronyms and all the things. And even up until the day of our wedding, our officiant was like, "Well, how do you want to be presented after you guys kiss? Do we say introducing for the first time Mr. and Mrs. Knott or Chelsea and Jason, or what do you want?" And it's so weird. We had so many, you can't even, well, this literally is a podcast of its own. The amount of stuff that we went through that last month, our dog in the emergency room twice over. We had to like figure out all the travel documents because we were getting married abroad. I got a job offer, had to make a big life decision. Like we had so much. We were planning a wedding in a different time zone, so we're working through the night and then working through the day. I felt like we had a newborn. Honestly, this wedding felt like we were like literally like nurturing a newborn and
Mm.
or going into like the last month of labor. I don't know. So, by the time the day, like a week before, we're talking about this, and something just dropped in, and I was like, you know what? Why don't we just try on Mr. and Mrs. Knott on the day of the wedding? But that doesn't mean that I have to take your name or not. Like, we can
Mm.
do this is one thing, this is my biggest piece of advice to you, to every bride, to anybody who's considering getting married. Like, just remember, you get to do what you want. This day is about you. And to speak to what you were talking about earlier with like, this sense of wanting to make everybody else feel good, and I think that the entire wedding planning process is you playing hostess to some
Mm-hmm.
degree.
Mm-hmm.
What you have to remember is that on the day of your wedding, like you are the guest of honor. You are not playing hostess. You are
Mm-hmm.
literally a queen. He is your king, and everyone can bow down to you because you just curated an amazing experience for them. And that's not coming from an egotistical way. That's just like you deserve that space that you have carved out slowly, chunk by chunk, with every decision, with every intention, with all of your heart, like throughout time, through that entire process. Like you have served your people and now they get to serve you. And
Mm-hmm.
it is so important to be able to recognize that without like truly, I honestly think every bride finally does get to that point. I think some brides are already thinking they're there ahead of time, and it's like, no, 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 like take it back a beat, make it about you guys, make it about us, like whatever. But yeah, I just went on a tangent and I lost my train of thought. I'm
I mean,
like,
thank you because it's
yeah.
actually, just another mantra that I'll carry in. And I do believe, I trust that I can
Oh
put
yeah.
this down. And and like you said,
Yes.
I love how you say like up until the wedding day, you are playing hostess. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, yes. Like it was almost like permission to be like, yes, that's what you've been doing. Because
Mhm.
as you know, because you did it abroad, when you plan a wedding abroad, you're not just planning a wedding day, you're planning everyone's trip. everyone's travel itinerary, where they're
Mm-hmm.
going to stay,
Mm-hmm.
questions like what's the currency, how do they spend, like there's
Yes.
you're a tour guide and a travel agent and
Per the website. Per the website.
yeah.
Per the website. Nobody looks at the website.
I know. I'm
Sorry.
like, why did I do a frequently asked questions? But anyway, um, but Shane and I were both like I'm double Taurus, he's Taurus rising, and there's this like we are very good at creating experience, like
Yeah.
an awesome experience. And
Yeah.
so it's gonna be, I have not a single doubt in my mind that this is gonna be a mind-blowing, memorable experience for everyone. And like you said, I will step into guest of honor and stop being hostess, the day of the first event. And I think your permission is really helping me with that.
I also think part of it, Angel, and tell me, like, I don't know if this has been your experience, but for me, it was like there was so much resistance from so many people because it's uncomfortable for them. And we're people that are like committed to this self-development, personal growth, spiritual growth element. So we have gotten a lot more comfortable in the discomfort.
Right.
So holding space and knowing, and I already know, I know you well enough to know that you do this naturally. Holding space and recognizing, oh, this person is just experiencing discomfort. I will I will give them the grace to know
Mm-hmm.
like it's not personal about me or the wedding, and I'm not gonna
Mm-hmm.
jump off the deep end for these questions that could be the why anybody asks the bride what they should wear. I don't know. Like just these little things. Um what I will say on the other side of it was you are playing hostess, you're playing travel agent, you're playing all these roles, and then you get to just sink in. And on the flip side of our wedding, the greatest takeaway was us. I had to bite my tongue for 2 years about the inconveniences that people had going to our wedding, although they wanted to go to our wedding. So it was like, well, you have a choice. Like, you can either come or you
Mm-hmm.
can't, or your kids can come or they can't. Like, it's up to you guys. I don't know, whatever. I will do my best to play your hostess and to play your travel agent and to play your sister, best friend, daughter, like, whatever it is. Post wedding, oh my God, we're so glad we did that. The best experience of our life. That was the most incredible thing. Like, we can travel as a family internationally now. We didn't know we could
Mm-hmm.
do that. Wow, like we would have never seen this like country or this city. Like, we had the best food we ever had. You want to know about the wine? Like, I mean, literally, it is still the talk of the town in ways that were it was a vessel, our wedding, and I say this, and again, not from an ego standpoint, truly this was like the entire time I was like, we're curating something for you guys because we
Mm-hmm.
want to share something that will be so great for you because it's always been so great for us. And at the end of it, everyone came out just being like, we grew a bit. We grew a bit because we had to learn how to travel here. We had to a lot people got their passports for their first time. I mean, our wedding
Mm-hmm.
guests were just they made it they had to make it a vacation or an experience. They had to finally take the time off work. They were okay, we're going to double this down with our honeymoon, our baby moon, our anniversary, our we wouldn't have done this otherwise. You know, like that was
Mm-hmm.
such a great takeaway and I cannot wait to talk to you in like a month and a half and be like,
Yeah.
"So, were you
Yeah.
right?" Not to
Yeah.
be right for that sake, but
No.
just to like provide that experience for the people that you love, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And honestly, as you're saying it, and I've been thinking about it lately, just like what kind of magic may happen, like, even just in different people connecting that haven't, like we have our whole family staying in the villas around our house, and therefore they're going to connect. Like, my brothers will get to know Shane's brothers. And I'm like, what will happen from that, from those connections? And I remember you sharing with me at your welcome dinner all these like little friendships were made, and it's like the magic that will happen outside of us, outside of like what we make happen. I'm really excited to see. And like, it is not beyond me that there are some people that would never leave Canada if this event weren't happening, would never go to Europe, would never go to Greece. And I think this island has a lot of healing to offer. And I think Shane and I have a lot of healing to offer. I've come to see through people visiting us, almost everyone that's visited us has told us, like, something healed or something changed for them when they went home. And so, you know,
I just
that
got
would
the
be a really
chills.
beautiful
I'm
thing.
just like full chills right now. I, what a blessing. It starts with you guys and it gets to like percolate into everyone. It's such a fundamentally interesting thing where you can at the same time be giving this love and receiving it simultaneously.
Mm.
I'm so, like on your wedding day, I pray for you, and I'm just gonna say like a little prayer that, dear Lord, dear Jesus, thank you so much for blessing us and having this conversation. For anybody listening, I also bless you with this as well, but especially my dear friend Angel on her wedding day, being the bride, being the glowing, beautiful blessing that she truly is. She is an actual earth angel, and so thank you so much for giving her so much purpose and giving her the motivation and the experience to share it with all of us on her wedding day. I hope that she fully I know that you will give her Archangel Michael. There's nobody that's going to get in her way. We're just protecting her right now with your shield. There's nothing that can get in her way of letting her be the biggest expansive ball of living divinity and heartfelt essence because she is already that in a walking sense, but on especially on her day when it is truly her day to expand and step into this next portal of her life with her beautiful, handsome husband, Shane, who has been so supportive. You guys have they have already proven what their dynamic is, what they have to offer as a couple, the heartfelt, the healing, the companionship, the connectivity that they bring to this earth. We just pray that they're blessed, that she gets to feel the radiance that she gives to other people in your service, that through your twinkling golden light, God, that you infuse her with every day, that it is just it touches globally, and we will feel it on that day. We bless that day. We bless them as a couple. Thank you so much. There's so much for them to do. There's so much for them to explore. There's so much for them to feel. And I'm just so grateful to know what that energy is on a soulful level. So amen to them and their future children if they want them or not. And just their future family, whether that's friends, acquaintances, business partners, colleagues. Amen.
Amen.
Yes.
Chelsea, that was the prayer that,
Aw.
one of those things where you're like, oh, if I could pray for a prayer, that would be it.
You know,
Thank you so much, my sweet
I want to
friend.
say, like, I really think that bridal blessings need to become more widespread.
Mm.
Again, you're pouring so much into everybody else. Even just taking the time to talk to me tonight, I'm like, I feel so blessed. And to get to relive my memories, that's like so special to me. There's just like this part of me that's always going to live on forever in my heart, and getting to revisit those memories and talk about those memories and share those memories and everything. It's so beautiful. And I think that bridal blessings are just, yeah, inherently part of this ritual and this ceremony that is what this experience is. So, yeah. Thank
Right.
you for
Yeah.
receiving
And I
that.
mean, it allow in that moment, here I'm on my podcast. It can be difficult for me, of course, to like not just lead as my podcast. And in that moment, I was like, I'm just gonna actually receive this. And
Yeah.
like,
You're the
and
bride. Yeah, girl.
and yeah, bridal blessing, receiving, like,
It starts now. We're 1 month out, okay?
oh
We're
my gosh,
we're
I'm
like
sweating.
giving Angel all the love because I know what it's like. I know what it's like.
I know you
So,
do. And I have really appreciated your support. It's been so funny, as I'm a bit of an older bride, so I don't really have many people that are walking that path right now because they all kind of walked it a while ago. And and also, back then, me and my friends were much less conscious. And
yeah.
so to have had you to talk about things like shoes, like all these small details along the way. And it's so, I've always found with our lives ever since I guess we haven't met in real life
We've never
virtually.
met in real life. I think about that all the time, and I'm just like, there's certain friends that I'm like, how have I never met them? I
That
swear.
is blowing my mind right now. But I've always noticed how there's like this bit of a parallel that happens in our
Hmm.
lives where like things kind of one of us walks first and then the other one walks it, and but it's kind of
Yeah,
similar. And so anyway, it's been such a gift to have you to talk about these things with, in the same way that I process things, you know. And I
amen,
think
sister.
this brand that you're building, I mean, like, do you want to just share your vision of it a little
Yeah,
bit
I
for any
so
listening
I'm
bride?
I'm building a brand. I'm not gonna share the name quite yet, just because we're still. I mean, I know what it is. Maybe I'll do it. Just would I do it?
Just do it. It can
I
change.
got a yes. I got a yes. We'll say yes. I'm building a brand called The Intentional Bride, and it is truly a place that I want to build community for brides that are walking through the engagement portal. They're going through their bridal era, and that are really in the throes of all that comes up in that time. Again, I've spoken to it before, but there's the shadow work that happens with this extravagance and this beauty, and you're going through a glow up on all levels. You're going through a glow up like physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, in all of the way, energetically, in all of the ways, and in your partnership. And again, sometimes where you have found safety in your relationships might not quite feel like the most comfortable place to go to, or where you want to go to. It's hard to describe, but when you're in it, you know, if you know, you know, and you'll know when you know. And basically, I want to create a place and a community where brides can come and just leave better than how we found them. So we're
Mhm.
pouring into your personal development, and we're building you up and we're building you out because we care about you and we love you and we care about this process that you're going through and this sacred ritual that you're going through, and just giving you a place to just come as you are and leave better. And with that, it'll be like some like community group and one-on-one coaching if you feel called to that. Um, and just little like tidbits along the way to anchor you back into why you're doing this in the first place. Because there's
Important.
like, yeah, there's so much noise around wedding planning and the aesthetics of the wedding planning and all that. That's great. And I'm like the most aesthetics. It's so are
Hmm.
you. We're Tauruses. Come on, like we
Hmm.
are like such
Y'all
vision
should see
people.
Chelsea's pictures. I'm like,
Yeah.
whew, inspired.
Yeah, it was just how do you make it about your love? How do you storytell on the most one of the most important. I say that because personally I do want to have kids and I know that that day is going to be like really important to me too, becoming a mother. But being a bride and a wife first, and even if that's reverse for your stories, like or whatever order you're in, this era is so specific to unionship and partnership, and obviously, you're getting married to your person. But we get lost in that when we look at Pinterest and we're seeing the Instagram ads and we're hearing all the noise about even just saying bridezilla. I'm like, ugh, that feels like a
Hmm.
projection because maybe somebody was just really trying to advocate for what they wanted and they were misheard or misunderstood. There's a place to be able to come and reframe and get and feel loved and just, yeah, I could ramble on forever, forever. But I'm in the throes of planning it and I'm excited to talk about it because I want every bride to truly just feel their glowiest, happiest, most elevated, most expansive, most centered and aligned version of themselves as they move into this next era because it really is a blessing. So, yeah.
Yes. And I hope that from listening to this conversation, everyone can hear that like there is a journey that you can go on that's really beautiful if you choose to be present to it, and how wonderful it is to have support through that journey because not everybody sees that journey for what it is, and that's, the projections, like the bridezilla, all this sort of thing. And it is hard to not get swallowed up by everyone, because obviously, depending on how big of a people pleaser you are and how much like louder voices there are in your life, it can be difficult to lose the point.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really beautiful what you're talking about, what you're building, and truly, in the end, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And this is one very big thing, and then, like you say, there will be more, and you will walk through them with the same intention.
You're so beautiful. I am so happy to have you as a friend. I feel so good when I talk to you, and I'm just like everything you just said. I'm just like, oh, yes, like my whole heart, yes.
Well, I love you. Thank you for coming on for this conversation. I asked Chelsea, you guys, because I was like, I want to do like a conversation about this rite of passage, but I just don't feel like talking to the camera by myself. I want to talk with a friend who is on the same level and we can both share stories and you guys can hear yourselves in different parts of that. And something tells me we're going to need a follow up for like wife era. So
I was gonna say also though, I like really am excited to hear if you feel called to it. I'd love for you if you want to sit down and talk to the camera yourself and you feel called to that, please do a follow up because everything when it's fresh and new is just so like potent. So
mm,
whether you even share it or not, you know, just for yourself. And then secondly, if you want, I can interview you on your podcast if you'd like for that
mm.
to just as post wedding bliss and to hear all the fun things that happened. In
Yeah.
another episode, we'll talk about how a lizard fell on my lap during my wedding dinner. And I was like, ChatGPT, what is the spiritual meaning of this?
And what was it? What was it?
They're, the funny thing is ChatGPT was like, "Oh, well when this happens." I'm like, "As if this ever happens to other Does this happen
As
commonly?"
though it's bird poop.
Yeah, right. It was like, well, the symbol of a lizard is, you know, when it gets its tail cut off, it grows it back. So if it landed on your belly, like this could be resilience or this could be a blessing. And I was like, I don't even know. I don't, none of it was
Mm.
such a reach. It was such a reach that I was like, there's no meaning to this other than a lizard just fell on my
We're gonna
lap
call
from the
it luck.
chandelier. Yeah.
We're gonna call it a blessing, an omen. It's so
And
funny
I
you
was
say
like,
that. My
oh, good,
my
no, no, go
cat,
ahead, go ahead.
my cat, she's like savage. She's a wild animal that decided she lives with us.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah. You told me about this.
yesterday I mean, she often will like come in the house with a lizard dangling out of her mouth. And we'll try to save the lizard because we feel for it. And she's like, is not having it. It drops. She just, anyway, yesterday I found one on the dog's bed. Like she was like gifting Teddy the gift of this dead lizard. And I was like, gross, man. But I see what you're doing there.
That's her. That's her love language, Angel. That's her love
She's like, I
language.
will kill for you.
Yeah, exactly. This is my gift. Receive.
It's all perspective. Yucky lizard, gift. I don't know.
Yeah. I love
Okay,
it.
my friend, I
Oh,
love you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm excited for what you're building. And we will at least, put your Instagram so people can like watch as it comes through you.
absolutely. I love you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. And Spirit Club, thanks for listening to our journeys. And for those of you who are, maybe you're not engaged yet, maybe you are, I hope that you found something in this to support your journey. Much love.
Much love.